He's Larry Krueger. I'm Cyrus. We're talking Warriors tonight. They whiffed hard on Lauri Markkanen. The question is, are they good enough without him? Do they need to make another move? Larry and I are going to break all that down next. Welcome to the Krueg Show, and welcome to Golden Days.
That is it for us today, and we will leave you with I can't do it. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. And things suck. Woo! Let's go.
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
Pump you up, Larry. Are you getting pumped? Larry, you've got sponsors, brother. Take it away, sir. How the hell are you doing, and who's paying your bills?
We are brought to you. The Krueg Show is always brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Go get some brisket. Go get some brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon. Go say hi to Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. Love me some Pig and a Pickle. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue down in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. My good friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. Check them out. If you need sports cards or collectibles and you're down in Monterey, go check him out. He's a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show.
I've got so many collectibles. I'm curious to know like what all these old cards that I've collected are worth, if anything. Do you have an old collection of cards, right? I imagine you have a bunch from when you were a kid that you still have that you're hoping
Absolutely.
to pass down to Kev or somebody someday, right? Like, do you?
My dad had a bunch of cards, and then he sold some of them, and and then I collected cards as a kid. I still have them all. I didn't sell them. I didn't get them to sell them. I really got them just as a kid to collect them, So, but yeah, I bet you I probably have $10,000 worth of baseball cards, maybe more, because I've got some great individual cards. But yeah, I collected baseball cards from like 1976 or 7 through 1985, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I started from like the mid 80s to the early 90s, and then like, is there anything in there that's a prize collection that sticks out? That's your fave or most valuable? I have a Kobe Bryant rookie. I think that might be the best I've got. What do you have?
That's a good one.
I started to put you on the spot, man. I know that might be a tough question.
I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think like what I really have that's like really, really special. Nothing that has like emotional value to me.
Your Will Clark Fleer rookie doesn't have emotional.
I mean, I do have some autographed rookie cards from guys like, Darryl Strawberry and Eric Davis and those kind of guys. But I'm trying to think, maybe Will Clark rookie.
I hope that's worth something. That was like that one. The Jose Canseco rookie, I remember, was one that we all were trying to get. Like the Bo Jackson's rookie was a big one from my era.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Sandberg had in the early 80s there. I think 82, I think he came up. His rookie card. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun as a kid collecting, and someday I'll probably I did sell a bunch of my dad's stuff years ago, and he sold some of his stuff as well. But I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with my own card collection just yet.
Nice. And a funny story before we get into this. Actually, before we continue on, I got to give some love to my sponsor for the day, and that is Bet Online. And this is going to be topical because, Larry, if you don't mind, at some point in the show today, I want to present to you some NBA futures. The other day, you randomly asked, what the over-under is on wins for the Warriors. Turns out it's 43.5, I believe. And there's quite a few other odds and spreads and futures, projections, the whole works that are out there. And they're all available on BetOnline's website. And BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything online betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino. Grab a drink, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use the promo code BELIEVE. That's spelled BLEAV for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here. And just to finish up on the trade on the basketball baseball card talk, this is an interesting. I heard this the other day and I just kind of was just in disbelief. My broadcast partner, my friend Rick Barry, shared this random story because the topic of cards came up, and it broke my heart, man. Apparently, Rick Barry's dad, who got him into sports, his dad was an athlete himself. Rick didn't get into what he did to garner punishment. He did something that a naughty boy does that pisses off dad. And again, he couldn't remember what it was. His dad burned his entire collection, lit it on fire in front of him. And supposedly, and what Rick Rick was like, literally, like I don't see him get emotional often. Like I could see the pain in him because he wasn't shy about it. He's like, dude, that still hurts to this day. Supposedly, it was a collection like of old school, like Willie Mays type rookie cards, like Mickey Mantle type cards. Like it was a primo. We're talking probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, literally up in smoke. Any reaction from
Sad.
it? Crazy.
Yeah, it's just sad. Just sad. I saw some guy on social media. His dad was taking the lawnmower and rolling over his video game console because he said his kid needed to get out and get a job. So I do understand the frustration of parents feel like their kids have been taken over by video games, but anytime you're going to do anything like that, it's brutal, there's no room for that level of sadistic. Supposedly, the story in my family was that my dad's father, my grandfather, grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, and that he used to play the violin, and that his father one time took his violin and shattered it, broke his violin, and he ran away from home.
Oh my God. So
who knows? I mean, you never know. I mean, I just say why. Yeah. Why do that? Why the kid loves something, you should embrace it, not
oh my God, Larry, before we get into talking about Warriors, because my program is Warriors and we work together, thank you for sticking to that topic. I know you cover the gamut, Niners, Giants, but I want to start by congratulating you and shifting gears for a second to football and the Niners. You're back on the radio, brother. The old terrestrial airwaves, I know they're digital as well, but our old home of KNBR, you're back. Tell the audience, man. Like that's been fantastic news. Like, congratulations, and tell the audience what the details are about you going back to radio.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was let go from KNBR in 2022, I guess 2 years ago. And the next day I started my own YouTube channel, The Krueger Show. And now we have close to 50,000 subs. And here we are 2 years later, and a lot has happened. KNBR has had multiple program directors and all kinds of changes in the market. There have been changes in the market, and my channel has grown significantly. And I think they just kind of saw, some of the content that I was putting out on the 49ers through the Krueger Show, and thought, hey, you know what? Maybe we could have that kind of content on KNBR and distributed through KNBR socials. So we got together and we talked about it, and we realized that that we could definitely be mutually beneficial to one another. And so I signed a deal to come back to the leader. I'll be covering the 49ers. You'll hear me on all the shows. I'll be a guest on all the shows. I'll be on the pregame for a segment. I'll be on the postgame for a segment. We've got a full Niner hour that we're going to introduce in September. We're really excited about a lot of these things, and you'll just hear me. And of course, the number one first question that came up was, and I just broached it right away. I said, hey, I want to keep the Krueger Show. I don't want to stop working on my YouTube channel. And they said, you know what, let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out a way to do it. So I'm keeping the Krueger Show. We're going to keep rocking and rolling on the Krueger Show. I'm going to be contributing regularly, talking a lot of Niners on on KMBR. Who knows how it evolves over time? I'm thrilled to be there. Mike Holler is the new program director. He's a friend of you and I for decades, and really excited to be working for Mikey. Really, knowing that he's going to be measured by how the station does, and he's a friend of mine. So it's like I've got extra motivation. I mean, not just to do well for myself, but to do well for Mike, and
vice versa. Help you, help me, right?
And I'm fired up, man. I'm absolutely fired up. I got so many people, thousands and thousands of people have reached out to me in the last day to say, I left KMBR, or, and I'm going back, or, I love the Krueger show and I hope you stay with it. And lots of questions, lots of comments, lots of well-wishing. I'm thrilled to be back there. It feels like home. My first day at KMBR was June of 1997.
Wow.
I was 27 years old. I was not married. And today's by the way, today is my 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow. Happy anniversary. Dude, what an
day,
amazing
August
Amy,
7th,
thank you.
August 7th, August 7th, 1999. We got married at St. Mary's Church in Walnut Creek. And 25 years ago today.
Woo! Congratulations!
And,
phenomenal.
My wife is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and she's given me 4 amazing, amazing kids, and it's been a fun 25 years. So thanks to her, and happy anniversary, honey.
Wow! And she's letting you work today, man. Thank you again, Amy.
That's the other thing. She's a very understanding wife who just wants me to work hard and make more money. Did I say that? Did I say that?
Well, congratulations on everything, brother. I can't be more happy for you, man. And you're going to be, and it's 6 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Is that correct on the Sports Leader? Is that right?
It's not confirmed yet, so I'll wait for the announcement, but there'll be a full 49er hour hosted by yours truly. And I'll be covering the 49ers from Santa Clara every day for the channel. We'll be doing an endless series of recaps, videos, tweets, all kinds of stuff. You guys know, I mean, I covered the Niners pretty thoroughly throughout the year. We're all in to do it again this year, except this year you're going to catch me Monday through Friday and even Saturdays. You'll hear me on Saturdays I'm basically going to be on KMBR 7 days a week, starting Labor Day and continuing until basically 2025.
Oh man,
and it's not just a seasonal thing, by the way. Some people said, is it one of these things at the end of the football season do we disappear? No, we're going to continue. I'm going to be continue at the Leader beyond football season. So I want to thank Matt Nahagi and all the good people at 95.7. I enjoyed my few years there, but let's be honest. I mean, KMBR has been radio home to me for a long time. It's a special brand to me. It has a special place in my heart, in my history. So it's I'm thrilled to be going back there.
Yeah, and for people unfamiliar, our history starts there as well. I worked there from 2000 to 2009. I was your producer there for a lot of years. Congratulations, man. That's great news. I'm really happy for you, brother. And sorry if I jumped the gun on the hours. I'll let you.
No, not at all. Not at all. Mitchell and Ness saying what time slot. You'll hear me in drive time. I'll also be on all the shows as doing guest hits. Covering the 49ers from Santa Clara every day, and really excited to talk a lot of Niners and join John Lund and Dennis Brown and Adam Copeland on the pregame, postgame, and I'll still have my own versions of the pregame and postgame on YouTube. So we'll be doing all that as well with Danny and Damon and Rye and JD and Cy and everybody else. Baller, everybody's invited. We'll do a lot of postgame and really have a great time this year. So I'm really looking forward to it. I wanted to do, I wanted to do more on the radio than I was doing at 95.7. KMBR came to me and gave me an opportunity to do that, and I jumped at it. And now, I feel like in a lot of ways I got it all right. I got the I got the YouTube channel that's growing and doing well, and I'm working with Kev, and we're putting out awesome content and streaming with guys like yourself, with my friends, and talking about things we want to talk about, and then also now the ability to go back and work at one of the nation's most powerful terrestrial radio stations and be part of their 49er coverage. Just an awesome opportunity. I'm really excited.
Well, and just good for KNBR to bring you in, man. That's a good move on their part to improve the quality of their programming. So good for them. Good for you. Happy for you. Congratulations. That's fantastic news. And thanks for squeezing me in. Someone in the chat asked, how do you have time to do all this? The one piece of good news is you get to stay in your home studio. So you don't have to commute, which takes up so much damn time. That's incredible. So congratulations, brother. I'm really happy for you. Now, what isn't such good news, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's good news or bad news. A few people out there are giving me grief, Larry, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. They're giving me grief because I'm not shaking the pom-poms right now. I'm not being a cheerleader saying, go Warriors, regardless of the fact that they keep striking out on these trades. They're now 0 for 2 this offseason. They whiffed on Paul George. They whiffed on Lauri Markkanen. And I personally just do not feel, and I'd love to know your take, that this Warriors team, as currently constructed, is going to make noise this year. I don't think they're even going to make the playoffs this year. I don't know if they'll even make the play-in as currently constructed. The only hope they have with the roster the way it is, and I'm going to share my screen for a second here to show everyone what the current depth chart is. This was on ESPN today, and they did a lot better than their last attempt to present a depth chart. Their graphic was totally wrong last time. This time, they're still missing Lindy Waters. They're still missing Guy Santos. But this is a team that is very guard heavy. It's very wing heavy. They list Quentin Post on this graphic, who is not even signed by the Warriors yet. In fact, the roster has no room for him. What I mean by that is, in terms of the salary cap, they only have about $500,000 of space between the first apron and what they're currently spending, and they're hard capped. And Quentin Post, his rookie deal is going to cost more than $500,000 for his first year. So they legally cannot sign him. Their 3 two-way slots right now are currently filled. So the only way they could actually have him play outside of just being a G League player, which is also, I guess, another possibility. But I imagine if you're Quentin Post, you're not stoked about that. Not to mention, it's one less big for the Warriors. My point is, this is their roster right now. I keep looking back, Larry, to 2021, right, when the Warriors lost a play-in game to the Lakers. I think back to 2023 when the Warriors lost in 6 games to the Lakers. Never mind all the other teams. I mean, there's a gamut in terms of talent in the West. I'm focused just strictly on the Lakers. I don't think this roster can beat LA. I don't think the Warriors have still figured out how to beat bigger teams. For some reason, they're stuck in this idea that speed and reaction times are the magic code and key to success, when those days are gone. I mean, you look at all the teams that are successful, they're relying on athleticism, they're relying on size, and I don't think the Warriors have enough, man. And so a few people are giving me grief because I'm not sitting here again shaking the pom-pom saying, go Warriors, they're going to do great this season, they got a better team. Yeah, they're slightly improved in my opinion, but so is the entire rest of the conference, and your 2 best players are going to be 37 and 35 this year. So I'm hitting some alarms. I'm bringing some alarm bells. I got sirens blaring. Larry, what are your thoughts, man? Like, are you more optimistic than me? What are your thoughts on this current roster?
Well, I guarantee you that there probably are some really informed Warrior people or Warrior announcers that could go and throw out a statistical argument for why they underachieved this last year and blah blah blah. And what about this? And what about if Draymond's this and this person stays healthy and this and that? But what negates all of it is the fact that your 2 primary players, Steph Curry and Draymond Green, are older players that are getting worse. So that's right. So it's like, are there elements of last year that were, just about last year and that probably won't repeat themselves this year? Yeah, but you also have your 2 best players getting worse. And how much worse are they going to get? And what does that mean for the rest of the team? So that to me is a primary thing. I mean, I I mean, you have to move Wiggins. Wiggins needs a change of scenery in the worst
Big time.
way. He's
Big
got
time.
you got to get rid of him. I'm not a big fan of Anderson. I don't want to. I don't want to move Kuminga. I don't want to move Kuminga.
No.
I like Podziemski. You know, Curry, Podziemski, and who is the third guard? Is it Heald? Is it Moody?
Probably D'Anthony Melton. D'Anthony, like you, the Warriors. Excuse me. The Warriors spent their entire mid-level exception on D'Anthony Melton, so I imagine he's in the picture for getting minutes this season. You're right, Buddy Hield. You mentioned. I don't know how Gary Payne II fits in. You know what really puzzles me with this roster, Larry, is where does Moses Moody fit in? I had someone on the come on the show yesterday.
I'd have him as the starting two. I literally would start him at the two.
Same, but Steve Kerr's not going to do that, right? So I don't know where Steve Kerr's going to fit Moody in all this. And to me, it's a borderline crime to not give this guy a run, man. I mean, do you realistically think Kerr will give Moody minutes this year?
Yeah, I do, because they'll be, the team's relatively thin in certain ways, I guess, if you factor in injury. I mean, it's just it's a long grind of a year. Now there was a move. Now I've seen a bunch of rumors, and I saw a headline the other day. I read the story that the Warriors are now going to focus on smaller trades.
Deals. Yeah, I've heard that too.
But nobody speculated what any of the targets of the smaller trades would be. Do you have any smaller trade targets?
Well, and I had Rick Barry on the show last night, and I was if he doesn't give me a seal of approval in terms of anything really, he's one of my fact checkers, one of my what's the right word to apply? My gatekeeper, I guess, for to determine if my opinions are stupid or if they have some credence. And one player that sticks out to me, because I don't think there's anyone out there outside of Cam Johnson. You and I'm
a big Cam Johnson fan.
Big Cam Johnson fan. I think he would be an exciting piece to add. But the question is, how expensive is he? What would Brooklyn want? We don't even know if he's even available for trade. One piece that looks good to me, and I don't know if and it's not sexy, it's not going to excite people, and no, it's not Jonas Valanciunas, who won't even be available until February anyways, or January. I don't know why his name is thrown out there a bunch. That doesn't excite me, and it's not going to do a damn thing. I like Nikola Vucevic of the Bulls, and hear me out before.
I do too.
Yeah, well, and so what
he's an all-star a couple years ago.
Yes, he was. Yes, and just last season he averaged nearly 19 points and 10.5 rebounds per game. And the one concern a lot of people have about Vucevic is defense, right? He's a massive liability. And so I had Rick on the show, and I asked him, I'm like, because Rick preaches team defense, right? Steve Kerr preaches team defense. We've heard the old analogy regarding the defense playing on a string, right? Which is again a metaphor for the five players on the court having each other's backs, like they're playing in a metaphorical string where, if one person has to slide to catch a defensive lapse, the next person has their back, and there's constant movement on the defensive side of the ball, not just offensive. And I asked him, can a player like Vucevic actually turn into a positive defensively if they buy into the system of team defense? And he said, absolutely. And we've seen players do that before, where they've been liabilities and they at least buy into a team defense where the system encourages everyone having each other's backs and playing on a string. That's who I look at, man, because he's slated to make $20 million, and he's got 2 years remaining on his deal. If you sign him, I don't think you have to give up much, right? Like whether it would be Looney and GP2, whether it would be Wiggins. He's the one I'm looking at right now, man. And Larry, you haven't even
say that again. Who do you like?
Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls.
I mean, I like him. It's just he's 32 probably,
33. Or 30. He turns 34 this year. Yeah. Again, not a yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's I have two deals that I think are dramatic deals.
And maybe before you do that, Larry, I haven't even heard your thoughts yet on the fact that the Warriors lost out on Lauri Markkanen. Like, do you think that's a big deal? Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that the Warriors tried and didn't succeed? Well,
they're not. First of all, they're not a title contender right now. So, and I understand why they were wanting Markkanen. I've been focused on marketing for, about a year as well. And I think that, but Joe wants to win every trade and the Ainge wants to win every trade. And it sounds like, the trade was going to be some ridiculous over the top trade. So I like Lauri Markkanen, but I don't think it's a total disaster that they couldn't make that trade. I mean, I don't think they're a title contender. And so that's a problem. But was Markkanen going to make them a title contender? He was going to make them more of a title contender. I don't know if he was going to make them a true title contender. But I'm going to throw you two trades here that are, to me, they both work on the trade machine. Okay. The first one is a trade that would send Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, Guy Santos, and draft picks. And I'm not sure exactly how many draft picks to Charlotte for LaMelo Ball.
Well, that's providing the Hornets would trade Ball, and
right. I mean, we're just assuming. I don't know that the Hornets would trade Ball, but it would give them Wiggins, Looney, Moody, Santos, and probably multiple number ones. What it would do for the Warriors is it would freshen up Steph by keeping him off the ball, and you could essentially, with no Klay Thompson, start playing Steph Curry the majority of the time off the ball, which I think is going to freshen him up. I also think LaMelo Ball playing up-tempo basketball in a pace and space kind of, a lot of Steve Kerr offense could be very, very dynamic to watch. I think it could be a wildly entertaining brand of basketball. And granted, you're trading a lot of pieces there, and LaMelo's been hurt the last couple of years. But that's one guy that I think, if you can't win, why not put on a great show? And if you have LaMelo Ball at the point and you could play Steph off the ball a lot, man, I think that some of the other shooters you have on this team with Hield, I like the idea of the bigger point guard who can set people up. And especially in the twilight of Steph's career. Mm-hmm. I'm not a LaMelo guy per se, but that would intrigue me because I know for a fact that I would tune in every night at 7:30 to see LaMelo throw, alley-oops to Kuminga and play with Steph. I think it would be incredible.
And when you bring that up, it leads to what I was thinking the exact same thing as what Bailey Bauer said in the chat. You could have had him 3 years ago, man.
Oh, I know.
For free. And anyway, so there's no point in doing that.
So then the other one. Here's the other one. Here's the other one that, and I think this other one has to be discussed here. The Warriors are in a dead end. They're at a dead end. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I don't know what that means exactly. What does that mean?
They can't win any more titles. They're done winning titles.
What? You're saying outside of blowing the whole thing up, they
can't win any more titles right now. They have Steph, but they don't have enough assets to get the kinds of players around Steph to contend for a title. So you have Steph, but you're not contending for a title.
But let me ask you this. If you don't mind,
would argue you're going to waste his twilight years.
Let me ask you this real fast, just to stop you there for a second. Going back to the Lauri Markkanen trade, because I really do believe this. If the Warrior, if it came down to Brandon Podziemski, if that was the one piece that was holding this thing up, and who knows if that really was, but I would have pulled the trigger. And I think if Podziemski was what was holding this thing up, and Podziemski, and that trade would have gone through, where you're keeping Kuminga, you keep Trace Jackson Davis, you're keeping all your assets except for Podziemski, and you're giving up future picks. And you're getting back Lauri Markkanen. I think that team is a title contender. Do you?
If they could trade for Markkanen and keep Kuminga but move Pods, yeah, I think they're an outside title contender. I just don't. Yeah. I don't understand the specialness of Pods. And don't make that decision in the summer league as he's dominating all these donkeys. You know what I mean? It's like, that's one thing. It's like, good NBA players dominate in the summer league.
Well,
Marco Bellinelli went for 44 in the summer league.
The great Marco Bellinelli, who was our old boss, is Tony Salvador's buddy. What was that restaurant that he always go to around the corner?
Umbria.
I think Marco Bellinelli, or they go to lunch. Anyway, so who cares? Here's the thing. The Brandon Podziemski,
he can rebound. Pods can rebound.
He can rebound. But didn't this remind you a little bit of 10 plus years ago when the Warriors had a chance to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love, and they decided no, and that was a good decision. But and part of me wonders if that was the thinking in Joe Lacob's head, like we're in this position again where we have a potential future star and we can get back a more guaranteed asset, but the current player has a much higher ceiling. But is Podziemski at Klay's level? Like, so you're saying no, you don't think Podziemski could ever become Klay? No. I know that they're not the same player, but I'm talking like all-stars, like
no, because Podziemski's undersized. Klay's a 6'7" 2 guard.
Correct.
Who had some point guard passing ability at times. And could really rebound. Podziemski's a 6'3" 2 guard.
Yeah, some say 6'4". I'll give them credit.
6'4". He's a really good rebounder. He knows how to play. I understand why they would rather keep him, but I mean, you're really going to not acquire an all-star 6'11" big man who can shoot the ball because you don't want to move a 6'3" 2 guard whose best thing is rebounding. I don't know.
Well, man. I'll say this: in the month of April last year, and Podziemski in college, and I think this is why the Warriors have such high hopes for Podziemski. Besides the fact that, like you said, for a 6'3", 6'4" guard, he's a phenomenal rebounder. He's a tough dude, good team player. He has point guard handles. He considers himself a point guard in terms of his natural position, but he shot 43.8% from deep in college, his second year at Santa Clara. And in the month of April this last year, he shot 59% from deep. I think it was 58.8. And look, I know April is a shorter month. The sample size isn't, but still, man, I think that's what they're looking at. Or do you think there's no shot of Podziemski becoming an elite 3-point shooter?
I wouldn't want to put limits on him. I'm okay with them, saying they want to keep him because it's also one of these things where it's like when you take one step forward, but you take 2 steps back, are you getting better? Or you take 2 steps forward, you take 1 step back. How much are you getting better? Do you get Markkanen? Okay. But if you have to move Podziemski and all these assets, are you really better? So, I'm okay with them holding on to him, but it did seem kind of like, so you don't want to move Kuminga and you don't want to move Podziemski. So what this trade's Moses Moody and pick swaps for an all-star. It's like, that's a little bit of like,
greedy. Is it greedy?
Well, greedy or just like, dude, I mean, I know you want to win the trade, but Ainge is probably saying, hey, we want to win the trade. So I mean, it's just the Warriors. The Warriors want to make a one-sided trade in their favor, and so do the Jazz. So it's hard to make that work.
It didn't work out. Yeah, it didn't work out. So I think ultimately when it comes down to the Lowry Markkanen thing, I think that's what Joe Lacob's mentality was. Is like he looked at Podziemski and he thought to himself, "This could be our next Klay, and we'd be giving him up for a Kevin Love type. Would be good now, would get us wins, but long term, we're giving up a piece that could win us titles." I think that's what he's thinking. Whether that's a delusion of grandeur, I don't know. We'll find out. What was the other player? So one was LaMelo Ball.
One was right? LaMelo Ball. The other is they're done. They're cooked. They have no more moves. It's time to pull the plug. And this would trade Steph Curry to the Lakers. And
you're going that route, like blow the whole thing up, like by Steph, by Draymond.
Okay, so I look at it in stages. Okay, right now the Warriors are in the stage of Steph is in the twilight, and they're trying to surround him with a good enough cast so he could win another ring. So far, they've failed, and they're going to continue to fail. And then at some point, he's going to be like, you know what? It's not that I don't love being here, but, the 35 wins have been nice the last few years, but it's time for me to go somewhere where I can, maybe win. And I think it might be in their best interest to do that. I mean, I mean, what are you trying to do here? I mean, are you trying to what's the goal? I guess, is the goal to, I mean, you tell me, is the goal to win titles?
Yes.
Okay, then you've won your titles. If your goal is to win titles, what's going to get you your next title fastest? To go down this road for the next 5 years with Steph Curry playing out the twilight, or is it to try to turn the page and go get down the road and accelerate the rebuild and turn the page? I mean, there needs to be, in my mind, I don't know that you can have a quick rebuild if you're so nostalgic and you're just, I think you almost need to have a coldness about you. You can make a pretty attractive trade right now with the Lakers, and you could trade Steph Curry. This works on the NBA trade machine. Steph Curry to the Lakers right now makes a ton of money, so you got to take back a lot of players. You could get back Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, and Christian Wood. You could get those 5 players. They would add to Steph Curry's $55 million from the Lakers.
If I'm going to trade Steph, I'd rather get a haul for the future. Like, I'd rather get.
I mean, you could even get picks if you wanted. You could have.
I don't know if
you could have him throw in picks if you wanted. But I'm just saying that right there. I mean, if you look at Steph right now is 36.
Correct.
Christian Wood's 28. Dalton Connect's 23. Jared Vanderbilt's 25. Austin Reeves is 26. Rui Hachimura is 26. You could, in one move, trade Steph Curry and have a bunch of young players and start your rebuild and start building the next dynasty. Instead, do we really want to see the declining years of this great player? Or would you rather, I mean, I mean, it's one thing. If I tell you you're not winning,
it's a tough one, man. I think Larry,
it is a tough one.
I think Larry, when it comes to Steph, I think the goal is to make him a lifer. I think the Warriors look at him the way the Lakers looked at Kobe, the way the Spurs looked at Timmy, the way the Mavericks looked at Dirk. Like they don't want to.
But here's the thing: don't you think, Cy? Because I think this doesn't add up. I think that would add up if Steph had 3 years. But he's got like 6 years.
You think he's going to keep playing? Because I'm sold on the idea
he's going to play. I think he's going to play to like 41, 42. I think he's going to play longer because his game is so based on skill. If he had 1 year left, he would just play it out with the Warriors. But he doesn't have 1 year left. He's got closer to 5 years left. And you really think he's going to be satisfied after all the winning he did here at just playing out the stretch, playing out the string, and never contending? I think maybe that could fly for a year, maybe 2. Then I think he's just going to politely say, hey, you know what? I love you guys, and I'll always love you guys, but is there a way you could try to get me somewhere?
Yeah, like I said, I had a very trusted source tell me, that Curry could be done after next year. Again, a lot's going to be determined by whether or not you see him sign that contract extension. If he doesn't sign the extension, it's going to mean one of 2 things. Either he's done after next season, because you got to remember too, like when just this current contract, expires, he's going to be 38. So even if he signs that 1 year extension, that means that takes him to 39. Before Tom Brady, Larry, like we never entertained the idea of players going into their 40s, right? I mean, I know it happened in these rare circumstances, but it was not the norm. And reality, AKA father time, kicks in, man. Like it does for everyone. I don't doubt that Steph could play into his 40s. That's not something I disagree with, or I think he could do it easily. But I've heard from a lot of people that this could be it. That he just has nothing to play for. Like I don't think the desire is there for him, especially with his kids growing up. Like he values the family. Look, he has 4 kids like you. Yeah. Like if you were Steph, would that factor into it? Like your kids starting to enter these ages where, they need you the most. Their memories are sharpest in terms of parent interactions. Like, what would you do if you're a Steph, man? Like, would you be cool with just, leaving your kids at home? Because he's very family centric. Well, what would you do? Factoring in the kids.
I don't know. Are the kids a factor? I don't even know. I mean, I don't know that the kids are a factor really in basketball. I mean, you're not risking. It's not like football where you're going to be paralyzed or something. You know, wheelchair. I mean, you're not risking anything really.
You're not worried about picking up your kids. Yeah.
I mean, Steph could probably play pro golf someday. But yeah, no, I just think that's a non-factor. I think his kids, if he was risking something, it'd be one thing, but he's not risking anything. He's just trying to decide how long does he want to play, how long is he effective playing. But I just think the way his game is all tied. I mean, he really did fall off at the end of this year, so maybe he'll fall off significantly next year. But all the more reason that I would like to trade him to the Lakers for 5 players. Let him go to the Lakers and play 2 down years and retire, and let the Warriors trade Dalton Connect and all these guys in 2 years for more lottery picks and start the rebuild. I don't know. To me, it's like, if the Warriors are the Warriors going to win any more titles with Steph? No, I don't think so. So why not start to accelerate life after Steph instead of this Steph in the twilight? I don't know. If I'm not one of those guys that wants to see the best players get old.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I totally get that. You're not making, I mean, you're certainly, it's not a popular opinion with the fan base proposing that. I think most fans would want Steph to stay for and retire as a Warrior. I guess it just,
but then those same people are going to get on there and act all sanctimonious, saying that, the Warriors management blew it by not surrounding Steph with better talent in his waning years of his Hall of Fame career. And they'll be wrong, because it's just really hard to accumulate the kind of talent that it takes to win a title on an NBA roster at any point, let alone all throughout a guy's career.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So are you foreshadowing Larry a dismal next 2 years? Like, are you trying to prepare Dub Nation for a return to the pre-Lake of days when it was just really bad year after year, where it was just depressing?
I don't know if it's going to be really bad, but it's just this, just because you have an enthusiastic self-made billionaire who says, we are not going to regress, doesn't mean that that's the case.
That's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Everybody regresses. There's nobody that just keeps it going. The NBA is almost designed for that. And it's almost like designed to like not just push you down, but to like push you deep down. So it's like it takes you that much longer. And only teams like the Lakers, who can, have some contrived rebuilding, game plan, can jump back up on their feet quickly. Everybody else, it takes like a cycle of years to get through it. So I just think that Golden State, I'm a Warrior fan. See, this is the part that's going to be really interesting. There's 2 kinds of Warrior fans. There's the real Warrior fans, the old Warrior fans who endured all kinds of losing. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Johnny-come-lately Warrior fans that have enjoyed nothing but the opposite. They've basically enjoyed nothing but winning. And now those Warrior fans who enjoyed nothing but winning are going to have to endure. And we're going to find out how well they endure.
No, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to endure at all. I think those fans are going to bounce. They're going to say bye-bye.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to Wemby. They're going to go to Anthony Edwards.
Right.
That's my guess. If you're that fickle of a fan, like, and look, more power to Steph for achieving a level of greatness so high that you're getting fans just individually as a player, right? That's incredible. But in the same way that, when Kobe was done, you had the Lakers are a different story because they've always been relevant. Like you're right. The Warriors are just a totally different story. I think there's going to be a lot of people that bounces, and then you're going to get those true hardcore fans again, who have always been there from the start. But I hope it doesn't get to that point, dude. I really don't. God damn it. I don't want that,
Well,
man.
it's just
I don't want that.
it's just this natural cycle of things, you know.
Not always, though. Not all. Yeah. I don't like Damon Bruce and I have.
It's a cyclical thing, though. I mean, players have careers. I mean, special players is what it takes. It takes really, really special players to win.
So, are you saying, so Larry, in your mind, do you think there is no chance of Kuminga and Podziemski becoming great players?
No, I think there is, but I'm enthusiastic about the Warriors because I think they do have made some good decisions at different times with personnel. But it's just they're gonna have to take chances, and they're gonna have to take chances in the second round, and they're gonna have to. I mean, they hit on Draymond Green in round 2. That's partly the way they got this done. They're
Correct.
gonna have to hit on somebody in round 2 again.
Well, maybe they did with Trey Jackson-Davis, right? I mean,
I think they did. Oh, there's no
Yeah.
doubt they did. There's no doubt they hit with him.
I played a couple days ago, and it's really weird that Golden Days is the only program, as far as I've seen, that has even touched on this, focused on this. It just goes to show how many media folks out there just don't want to criticize Steve Kerr, which is utterly absurd. Because you're not genuine if you're just going to sit there and fanboy him. But no one touched on this, and I'd love to get your opinion on the fact that Draymond Green on his podcast Saturday eviscerated his own head coach in terms of his rotations in the Olympics. I haven't had a chance to really talk about this with anyone yet, except for I briefly touched on this with Rick Barry in last night's show, because Rick started going into this thing. He was in the Olympics himself, not competing, but his son was. So he was there, and he said he was having conversations with a lot of people, and the Jason Tatum topic came up in terms of him getting a DNP in the first game, and and just the rotations changing with each game, and Rick was going off saying, they won, that's all that matters, so who cares if Jason Tatum was benched for a game? And then I responded to Rick, I'm like, well, Draymond Green actually disagrees with you, and he cares enough where he spent like 20 minutes on his show just talking about it. What's your reaction to that, man? To Draymond Green going public, criticizing his head coach and his decisions in the Olympics?
I mean, it just shows that Draymond is such a absolute attention whore. I mean, my God, Draymond, my goodness, dude, go play a round of golf. It's summertime. Go play with your kids. Go do something. My God. It's like, this is all you got to like sit there and, Monday morning quarterback, the Olympic coach. Every guy on the team's a freaking star. It's a thankless job trying to balance these guys. You knew that Kerr was going to have to bench somebody, and they're all great players. You knew it was going to rub somebody wrong. I just think it's so interesting that Draymond just always feels the need to inject himself in there.
But he's never publicly criticized Kerr. I mean, they've had their issues behind the scenes, but they've always put a united front in front of the cameras, in front of media. This was the first time I've ever seen him. I don't know if you recollect any other instances where Draymond just flat out came out publicly and said, "You're wrong. This is dumb." What are your thoughts on that, man? I thought that's crazy. Like,
Draymond wants to be an opinion maker. Draymond wants to be heard. Draymond wants to, inject himself into other conversations. You would think that he would cover Kerr, but he's probably a little bit, his relationship with Kerr, I mean, he's clearly pretty cagey in how he deals with Kerr. And it seems like, they've got this kind of like love-hate thing going on. And, they both know each other so well. They're like old married people. And I don't know. It just seems like whatever boundaries normal coach player relationships have, they do not apply to Draymond Green or Steve Kerr in any way.
Yeah, it just is wild, man. Yeah, Draymond, again, I could understand it if you're not playing for him anymore, but he's still your coach. He ripped him for 20 minutes straight. It was wild. Are you watching the Olympics? Are you watching these games?
Yeah,
Team USA?
yeah, I've been watching, and it's I think we're playing well. I like the way the team's playing, really. I mean, I think Steve's making some good decisions.
What about Steph? Because he hasn't. A lot of people are waiting for that, that breakout game, where he lights it up. We see this barrage of threes, and We haven't seen that. I don't think
No.
Steph's playing bad, but he hasn't lit it up either.
No, but I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I think he's going to have a Curry flurry in a big moment.
It's only 2 games to go. So if
Yeah.
he's going to do it, it's either going to be against Serbia, and then that game is tomorrow. I don't know if they've released the time yet for that. Again, we've been going live with Golden Days after every game, and Rick Barry is joining me tomorrow for that. But yeah, Serbia should be a wash. I mean, it should be an easy wipe, of the game. That should be no contest at all. And then the final is going to be either France or Germany, likely France. Do you think Team USA is going to have any issues getting gold? Like, I don't. There's no drama.
I mean, I like the group that we have. We got enough players who are playing at a high enough level. I think we're going to get it done. All these other teams, it's amazing they can even contend, really, because they usually only have 1 or 2 good players on their team, and sometimes they find a way to contend. I mean, it's amazing. Some of these teams really raise their level of play against Team USA, don't they?
Normally, yes, but this year's Team USA is just so damn good, dude. How do you feel about some people bringing up these comparisons? And I think it's justified, man. I still think the Dream Team in '92 is the best. But what are your thoughts on that? Because the '92 Dream Team did not have the level of competition this version does, right? I mean, in '92 there were no NBA players outside of maybe Tony Kukoc and 1 or 2 others here and there, but you didn't have an international presence like you do now. Team USA was the dominating force. In your mind, is it even an argument? Like, how do you compare the Dream Team in '92 versus the 2024 team?
Well, the Dream Team in '92 had, guys who were true legends of basketball. Bird had a bad back. Magic was over the hill at this point. But you had Jordan at the apex of his Hall of Fame greatness, and you just had a loaded roster. You had teams that were the world was still being introduced to the game. Guys literally wanted to, get autographs, at the free throw line. I mean, we literally saw that. And so I just think that what happens is every time a great player comes from the international market, it seems like a whole group of great young players, come behind them, whether it be Dirk in Germany or guys coming out of France or Yao coming out of China. It's just like, it just seems like it gets it makes that many more people excited about the sport in that country. So I think we're going to see more international players that are incredible. The world's getting better. We're still the best, but the rest of the world's watching.
Yes, they are, man. Yes, they are. One comment in the chat, which I totally agree with, is Matt Brotherton, who's been on the show before. Good to see you again, or at least read your thoughts, saying that he heard down the grapevine. Apparently, he has a friend who's close with Tatum. And Matt, I believe you said on the show that you're 6'4", and you're a basketball player. So that Dre and Tatum had a long talk after Jason Tatum didn't play. They're super close. They are super close. I believe they were invited to each other's weddings, if I'm not mistaken. I know Tatum's been on Draymond's show. Just to go back to that topic for 1 second, do you not think it's a little weird that I know Jason Tatum's struggling with his shot? All right. And I get that. And his shot's been struggling, honestly, since the playoffs. But a player of his stature, like to get DNP'd when you have Derek White on the team, you have Drew Holiday on the team, Joel Embiid is struggling, Tyrese Halliburton is the natural player on this roster, I think, to give DNPs to. He's the least experienced. He's the one you could live without the most. But you don't think it's weird at all? I get the fact that winning is the goal, and I get the fact that
these guys got to check their egos at the door. I mean, it's a basketball team. So if you have a basketball team and every guy on the team's awesome, then how do you decide who plays in the closing sequence of the game?
But you don't think there's different levels of awesome with these guys? Like,
yeah, but I mean, just because you won a title, I mean, I think it's yes and no. I mean, they're all NBA players. some of the younger NBA players, I mean, the NBA draft is a draft that's totally based on projection. So many of the top young players in the league are not as good as many of the lesser veteran players in the league. So that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about younger stars getting sat on the bench for older role players who are maybe playing their role well in a particular game. I just think it's just, if every one of these players was totally a complete player top to bottom in every phase, then you probably wouldn't see Kerr pulling anybody like Tatum out of the game. But because some of the greatest players in the game have some flaws, I think it's you do what you got to do as the coach to win the games.
Yeah, an 808 in the chat saying, who are you going to take off the court? Derek White 1, Tyrese Halliburton 2. I don't think that question is very difficult to address, but I mean,
it's just weird. These are great NBA players, though.
But again, Jason Tatum, 3 years in a row, he's been, I believe, first team All NBA. 3 years in a row, dude. The guy is considered. He's an MVP finalist year after year. He was the best. I know Jaylen Brown got Finals MVP, but look, and just adding to the weirdness of this, Jaylen Brown didn't even make the team. Like of the 4 Celtic stars, I feel like the 2 lesser ones seem to be getting more run or more opportunities. Like, if I'm Jaylen Brown, I'm legit pissed, dude. I don't blame him at all, man.
Basketball's a role player game, though. You have to have one guy or 2 guys, and then you got to have guys. You're going to be better off with 1 or 2 guys and guys doing things on the floor to facilitate than 5 stars who are just great players, but nobody's doing the dirty work. Nobody's setting the picks. Nobody's doing any of the little things that it takes to win. So I don't know. I mean, it's difficult. Basketball is difficult because it's not just about your skill set. It's also about how well you play off of the other players on your team. And we've seen guys get in great two-way, 2-man games. Sometimes there's groups of players that play exceptionally well together. And this is a difficult thing because you got to make this all come together, and there's no time to wait around for the whole thing to kind of come together. You got to make it happen. You got to be aggressive, and you got to have conviction. I don't envy Kerr. This is a very tough job.
I just think Kerr brought this on himself. I think if you had here's the thing, Larry, if Tatum played, I don't think you're losing. I don't think you lose anything. I think you're just as successful, if not more. And if you bring Jaylen Brown onto the team instead of Derek White, I don't think you're losing anything. It just is weird. I don't know if they overthought it. I don't know if maybe they didn't think about it enough, but it is weird.
I think Tatum's a volume shooter though, and can shoot you out of games. I don't think he's a sniper. I think he's a feel guy. So I think you just got to have a good feel and know when to get him out and when to ride him and when to get him out off the floor. I think you get burned when you have underdeveloped skill players with huge egos who hunt shots. I think that's where you get burned. I think that's where you potentially lose some of these international competitions. So I think Kerr, is probably right to play, to go by his instincts and sit some players that other people would go, whoa, can't believe they're doing that.
Well, I mean, again, Jason Tatum had played the second most minutes on the last gold medal team. So it's not like he can't play international basketball. And he literally led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists on a championship team. And he's getting DNPs. I don't know. It just makes no damn sense.
Maybe Kerr feels like he's not into it. Maybe there's a little bit of a nagging injury that we're unaware of. Maybe he can't. Maybe there's certain things that he can't do on the floor. Maybe he's a great player, but he doesn't fit well with the other players in Steve's mind. I mean, there's just a lot of factors, man.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the ultimate thing that you're absolutely, that we do at least 100% agree on, it is Steve Kerr. It's his team. He's making the decision. It's not the first time he's made decisions that are questionable. All I'm saying is I get why Draymond made it a topic. It's weird that he went public with it. I think it would make perfect sense to have that kind of discussion behind the scenes to actually, rip your coach for 20 minutes on your program. That's interesting, right? I don't know if that is the advisable route to take there. But yeah, regardless, yeah. So that's how it's going right now. It's been a fun it's been a fun discussion. And Matt Brotherton, I absolutely love it, saying if Tatum was 6'5", then he would absolutely be playing. I think there might be some truth to that. Larry, do you think the Warriors are making a deal this offseason? Do the Warriors start the year with the team is currently constructed?
No, they make a trade.
Do you think so? Okay.
I think they make a trade.
I hope they do.
Wiggins needs to leave.
I don't get why he's still there either, man.
Wiggins needs to depart.
I don't get that,
no doubt in my mind. To me, there's when you see guys, there's still teams that want to shake free of some big contracts. I know Wiggins is not coveted, but there's enough bigger contracts. Cam Johnson, I think, would be a great addition for Golden State.
That's great addition. Number one. Do you want to go through a few players real fast?
That's the guy that I'd like, just because of the purity of his shot, and then you already added, Healed. I just think that you're a Warrior team that really your fans are used to seeing the ball go through the net.
Yep.
And so if you're gonna have Steph, but you're not gonna have Clay, you brought in Healed, man. If you could get Cam Johnson, I think that would give you an awful lot of perimeter firepower. Cam Johnson, I think, would be at or near the top of the list.
I absolutely agree. I think he should be number one. I think that should be your absolute target. He played international ball just last year, for a good reason. He was on. He can space the floor, gives you size. He's still young. If you can get him, I'm a
pure shot. 100%. The other guy that's really interesting to me is Dorian Finney-Smith. I think he's a really good player.
Same team, right?
Same team. He's supposedly available. Both. That Brooklyn team's going absolutely nowhere.
And they want, and they're playing capture the flag. So I think they could be, and that's who your targets are, right? Teams that are rebuilding, and Brooklyn is one of them, right? You mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, the Chicago Bulls are another one. That's why I bring up Vucevic with them. Another team that's out there are the Washington Wizards. Like, will Kyle Kuzma excite you? I mean, the dude is 6'9". He does stretch the floor. He's a former champion.
I like Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, I like him too. I wouldn't hate it.
Especially on the Warriors. I think Kyle Kuzma would be a phenomenal Warrior. Why?
Agreed.
Because Kyle Kuzma is a talented guy who loses focus. The Warriors are a focused team that lacks talent sometimes. So to me, they need a talent, and he needs their focus. So I think him on their team would be a really attractive thing. I think he would make them better. I think they would make him better.
100% agree with you. 100% agreed. I'm looking through the list right now. The Portland Trailblazers are another team that seem to be going nowhere, right? And those are the teams you probably want to target. DeAndre Ayton is a player that reportedly is available. Major head case, but also a major talent. Are you strongly opposed to that? Are you looking strictly at Robert Williams III when you look at Portland, or is DeAndre Ayton someone you would take a flyer on, given former number one pick? He was one of the key members of a team that went to the finals. They lost, I believe, in 6 to Milwaukee.
Where is he now? Where is he? Portland?
Portland. Yeah. Portland has a logjam at the center position, and he supposedly is available. Like, I would do it in a heartbeat if it's like a Wiggins for Ayton swap, like straight up. I'd do that in a second. Beyond that, I'm not giving up draft picks for him, but what are your thoughts on Ayton, man? I mean, he's a head case, but he's talented.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd rather have Robert Williams, who's on that team, but, Ayton, I think, is the source of the discontent and the bad chemistry in Phoenix a couple years ago. And I just, I think even though he's maybe not the best attitude, if the package going back was okay, I'd be interested. I mean, you're still talking about 16 points, 11 rebounds, 7 feet, 250, good hands. He's only 26. This guy could easily have 5 really nice years for you.
I love Nick J's opinion. Nick J's comment in the chat. Aiden's face is just punchable. It kind of is.
Well, he just seems like he's had a lot of run-ins with a lot of different people.
He did. Oh man, do you want to save over unders for another show? Do you? It's always a fun topic to cover the over unders for basketball teams in terms of wins. I always find that to be one of the best topics in terms of not only like discussing the teams in general, but getting a glimpse into the bookies' minds, right? In terms of how they view your team. What do you think? You want to touch that now, or do you want to save it?
Yeah, we can do it now.
You want to do it now?
Yeah.
All right. I have it here ready to go. And then this is courtesy of Bet Online, the official sponsor of Golden Days. You have who are your? Do you want to give some love to sponsors real fast?
Oh no, I'm good. Well, I mean, of course, check out Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. And, of course, we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264 for all your sports cards and collectible needs.
Absolutely. And Riddy Music, who I'm guessing is one of your regulars on the Krug Show, asking what is the new channel. It's called Golden Days. No longer part of the Lach. And if by any chance you ever struggle finding Golden Days, just add the word Warriors to it and it'll come right up. So the program is called Golden Days. Please do subscribe. And obviously subscribe and hit the like button for both our channels, the Krug Show as well. Larry, you're killing it, man. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that when you look at the hierarchy of 49ers reporters, bloggers, podcasters, just any media member affiliated with covering the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think it's even up for discussion. Some people might say Matt Mayoko. Fuck that. And I just dropped an F-bomb. I never do that. No, you, Larry, are numero uno, man. I brag about you because of your knowledge and your expertise, bro. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. And
for any Golden Days
if anybody has yet to follow or subscribe to the Krug Show, we're sitting at 45,307 total subs right now. Hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, that just helps the algorithm. More people find the stream. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell every time we go live, you'll be notified. So please hit like and subscribe and support the Krug Show. We're going to have awesome Niner content, Warrior content, Giant content throughout the year.
Love it. And same thing for Golden Days, please. And again, if you're struggling for any reason to find a channel, just add the word Warriors. Search Golden Days Warriors. And for those listening on a podcast, it's Days like Dazed and Confused. And for both programs, obviously hit the like button, obviously hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to spit on that thing. Are you ready, Larry, for over-unders?
Yes.
And by the way, someone in the chat mentioned Jeremy Grant of Portland. The only reason why I don't hype him up is because it's redundant. I feel like if there's a player that the Warriors don't need, is Jeremy Grant. I'm not opposed to it. I don't hate the idea of it. If it's like a Wiggins Jeremy Grant swap straight up, I'm in. But at the same time, it's just when it comes to needs and what the Warriors truly are looking for, I just don't know if Jeremy Grant is it. Larry, what are your thoughts on Jeremy Grant before we move on?
He's talented. He's a really talented player. I like him. Yeah, if you can get him straight up for Wiggins, do it. And I like him, and I would want him on my team. He's not my favorite player. He needs to be blended with the right kinds of supporting players. But I love him. I love him as a talented player. I'd want him on my team, and I would take him if anybody whose contract works for Wiggins. I would be. I mean, I don't want to trade him for Terry Rozier, but outside of Terry Rozier, I'd move Wiggins for pretty much anybody.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to the over-unders in the NBA. Let's try and make some folks money out there, Larry. I'm going to go in order of alphabet, and we start with the Atlanta Hawks, a team that just routinely is mediocre. If you want to be positive about them, you could say they're good, not great. Their OU is 35.5. I'm thinking over on that. That's pretty low.
Who's that? 34.5 on who?
35.5 for the Atlanta Hawks. This is Trae Young's team. They play in the East, which is routinely awful. I should pull let me pull the standings for last year too, so I can tell
you. I have it in front of me. They went 36-46.
And that was and which still was good enough for them to make the play-in. That's how bad
they made the play-in.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Imagine if the Warriors were in the East. I mean, life would be so much easier. It's crazy. And
what is it? 36? It's right at
35.5.
Oh man, Jesus, it's right at it.
Yeah, and Larry, you and I can emphasize which one we feel good about. Like, I don't feel good about this one, but I'm gonna pick the over. What do you think?
Well, let's see. They won 36 last year. The number's the same. They drafted the first pick in the draft, but he's a nobody.
Right, weak draft. Who knows what that guy's going to do?
Picked up Larry Nance. It's not bad. David Roddy. Yeah, I would say. I'll go slightly over. Slightly over.
Yeah, exactly. Slightly over. And Larry, it sounds like you're not feeling great about that one either.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here advising the over, but that's just what I think. The Brooklyn Nets, who are in a rebuild, and the OU, I think, accurately reflects that. 19.5. Woof. That's low. Last year, the Brooklyn Nets,
they won 32.
32, but again, that was with Mikal Bridges, who they traded away. They might trade away even more pieces. Yeah, I mean, they still do have Cam Johnson, though. I mean, and they still do have Dorian Finney-Smith. That's a low number, man. What do you think?
That's a low number, but you know what? I think that's an indicator. I'm going to go under. I think they, sell out their 2 or 3 guys for picks, and they're a really bad outfit by the end of the year. So I could see them winning 16, 17 games.
So the only teams last year that had less than 19 wins were the Washington Wizards, who had 15, and the Detroit Pistons with Monty Williams, the Eastern Conference version of Steve Kerr, who had 14. So, and Brooklyn is in tank mode, and 19.5. I'm going to say over. I do not feel good about it, only because it's such a low number that all they have to do is go on one little run and they can nail the over, but I don't feel good about that one either. Now, the Charlotte Hornets are 28.5. Charlotte last year,
they won 21.
And now, and the OU for them this year is 28.5, and I think that's largely based on.
I think LaMelo's going to be healthy,
and they got the kid who they drafted number 2 last year, who actually played pretty well. Brandon Miller, thank you. So I imagine that's what they're banking on.
I like them under.
Yeah, I mean that's a considerable hike. They did bring Miles Bridges back, which is kind of crazy. I can't believe guys like that are even in the NBA. They also have Grant Williams coming off.
Pretty good player, man.
He is you're absolutely right. It's just
why, because of the domestic thing, you mean?
Yeah, I mean it was an ugly situation. They also got Seth Curry. So you're saying under?
Under
28.5. I'm gonna go over, man. I'm gonna go over. I like the Brandon Miller kid. I think LaMelo Ball he's gonna have something to play for. I think there's a lot of people out there doubting him now, and he's got talent. I'm gonna over. I think Charlotte might pull something here. Chicago Bulls, 27.5. I'm going under on that one. I think they're going to be a disastrous team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the Bulls. Well, they did get Giddey.
They did. They lost DeMar DeRozan.
What did you say the number is?
The OU for the Bulls is 27.5.
I'm going over. They play too hard. They
won 39 last year.
That's what I'm saying. They won 39.
And they do. And Kobe White's a good player.
And they also added some other guys. I mean, this team added some other players. They added Josh Giddey. They have Kobe White,
Zach LaVine.
They re-signed Patrick Williams.
They signed Jalen Smith.
They added Jalen Smith.
Yeah,
they drafted that kid Buzelis, who looked great in where did we see him? The Summer League? against the Warriors. Didn't he have 28 against the Warriors in the summer league?
I'm gonna switch my bet. I'm gonna go over 2. Yeah,
Metellus.
You convinced me. Yeah, there is a decent amount of talent on that team.
They play hard.
They do. Okay, so 27.5. You and I both say over. I don't think any of these are necessarily like confident bets, though. Has anything stuck out to you yet in terms of like a feel good bet for the OUs?
No, but I mean, I'm listening.
Okay. Cleveland Cavaliers. This one's an interesting one. They might be a contender this year. Their OU is 48 wins.
They won 48 last year.
And the over is minus 130. The under is plus 100. So you would win a little more money
favored
betting the under. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they a 50-win team?
I like the over. I Cavs are a 50-win team this year.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm going to bet the over as well. 48's high. Yeah. And it's the East. Let's go over. Okay. Dallas Mavericks, the reigning Western Conference champions. They added Klay Thompson. Their over-under is 50.5. And last year they won 50.
They're going over.
You think they're going over?
Yeah, I think there's some momentum there.
I feel you. Okay, over it is. I'm with you on that. Denver Nuggets, 52.5. I'm going to bet under. They had an awful offseason. You're betting on Jamal Murray being healthy. Jokic has no help in the front court. They're going to win games. They're going to make the playoffs, but I think 52.5 is aggressive. I'm going to bet under on that. What do you think?
I like over. I like over here. I just think this is a team that, really thought they were going back to the finals. And,
they did.
I just think that they'll start back up with a renewed sense of purpose. I also like the off season.
You like the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, let's look at what they've actually done. Okay, so they had a really good starting five, and now you added Dario Saric. He's a really good role player.
Is he?
You added Julian, Strawther had a fantastic summer. I don't know if you watched him in the summer league, but Julian Strawther, the Gonzaga kid, can flat out shoot the rock. They picked up Russell Westbrook, and I think Westbrook is a great fit for this team. I think he's going to bring energy. I really like Westbrook on this team in this mix. So I like this team. They got a lot of size. I mean, you got Jokic, you got Saric, you got DeAndre Jordan. They got Zeke Naji, Aaron Gordon. I mean, they got some guys. And then I really think the combination of Westbrook, Strawther, Saric. There's some decent and I also think they'll be focused after this year, the way last year ended. So I like Denver over.
And they did lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope,
who's very underrated.
And
very
Christian
underrated
Brown
player.
is going to replace him in the starting lineup.
KCP in a lot of ways would have been a nice Warrior get.
Oh, absolutely. But he was expensive. I was thinking about that too. But all right, so Denver. So you're saying over 52.5. I'm going to go under on that. I think they're going to regress this year, but I also don't know much about Strawther. So
Vincent's like Saric and Strawther is a great summer. No, I'm just saying Strawther had a great summer league. Okay. And to me, Saric is a it's not a bad pickup. It's another guy who knows how to play basketball.
He doesn't know how to play basketball. That's true.
And then
he lost his shot. His shot just vanished.
And then Strawther's a long guy who can shoot the rock, and Westbrook I think is a good fit on this team.
Yeah, that part I agree. I'm going to go under though, just because again, Saric to me doesn't move the needle much. If Strawther is as good as you say he is, maybe then it's a different story. But and I do like the Westbrook thing, but losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I don't know. 52.5 is a lot in the West. Detroit Pistons. Detroit last year was the worst team in the NBA, 14-68. I don't have any memory of them adding anybody, so I'm guessing you're counting on Cade Cunningham, who got the big extension, to take a leap this year.
They got Ron Holland in the draft, who's a pretty good player in the draft.
Yes, correct. Agreed.
They added Tim Hardaway Jr.
and Tobias Harris. Who keeps getting big deals. I have no idea how. Jalen Duren. So their OU, even though they won 14 games last year, their over-under this year is 25.5.
Yeah, I think that's right on. I think they're going to improve a lot. I like them. I think that number's right on. I'll go under, but I think it's going to be really close. I'll say
I agree.
they're a 23-24 win team.
And they got the new head coach too, right? I think they got Bickerstaff, who was with Cleveland last year, is their new head coach.
Yeah, it's underrated.
Yeah. So 25.5. You and I both say under.
Oh, wait a second. We're talking
What's up?
Warriors. We're talking Warriors this whole time. There we go.
What do you mean? What's going on? What?
I went from
your colors.
Look at that.
Is blue supposed to be for Warriors?
Yeah, blues for Warriors.
That explains what someone in the chat said like an hour ago, and I had no idea what they meant. Now I know. they were talking about your color. I didn't get that. Okay, so Detroit, we both said under at 25.5, despite the fact that we both also think they're going to be better. The Houston Rockets, we're going to save the Warriors for last, going alphabetical here.
Sacramento, should we talk Sacramento?
We'll get there. I'm going alphabetical. I'm just saving the Warriors for last. We can
Milwaukee Bucks with the green.
We'll get there. Oh, with the colors. So I'm not sorry. I'm looking at my
Indiana Pacers with the yellow. All right, go ahead. Hey, let's talk Kings.
If you're listening to the podcast, Larry Krueger is switching his light behind him. I don't know how you're doing that. It's a cool little feature. Houston Rockets, 42.5. The Rockets last year, I believe, won 41. I'm going off memory on that. Yeah, they were. They were 41-41. So the bookies think they're going to be a little bit better, just a smidge. What are your thoughts, man? That's a tough one. 42.5.
I like them over. I think there's some momentum in Houston. You know, they were 500 last year. You look at the roster. There's the arrow's pointing up on almost everybody. I mean, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Sengun, Tari Eason,
they got one
Thompson.
Of the twins. Yeah, those
I mean, they've got a lot of guys with the arrow pointing up. So
what are your Larry?
I would say they're going to be right on that number, but slightly above.
And I agree with you. I would bet the over as well. I wanted to ask you though, because you're really into, and you forgot to mention Cam Whitmore, by the way, who I think could also take a leap this year. He had a fantastic rookie campaign. What are your thoughts on this kid who got drafted 3rd or 4th? Because again, I respect your opinion tremendously when it comes to scouting. Have you had a chance to analyze Reed Shepherd? Some people say this guy can shoot the ball as well as Steph, which is a bold thing to claim. But some people out there are saying that. What are your thoughts on Reed Shepherd, man? Is he going to be a difference maker for the Rockets?
No doubt. He's guy can flat out. He's got like a 42-inch vertical. Okay, he can flat out shoot it. He looked great in the summer league. I like him a lot. To me, this is another guy, if the Warriors couldn't find anything and they wanted to move Steph, I'd be calling Houston and I'd want this kid in return.
The only cruel thing about that would be sending Stephen Curry to Houston, but I hear you.
But Reed Shepherd is big time. Vincent says Reed Shepherd's legit. He is. He absolutely is. I love Reed Shepherd.
I saw that too. Yeah, Vincent. So and again, he was the 3rd pick, 4th pick, something like that in the draft this year. So
yeah, 3rd pick.
So we're both going over on the Houston Rockets at 42.5. Indiana Pacers are at 45.5. Last year, they were 47-35, which is interesting. So the bookies think they're going to regress a little bit. What do you think? That's a tough one.
What did they win last year?
Last year they were 47-35, and the bookies think they're going to be 45-37 this year. 45.5 is the line.
You know what? I disagree. I think this is a 50-win team.
Agreed.
Siakam, Miles Turner, Halliburton, just on that alone. But they also have some good young players beyond that. Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd from where's he from? Belmont, I believe. Jarris Walker is a good young player. They signed James Wiseman. They brought in Obi Toppin.
Yep.
I think they're a 50-win team.
I agree. And one thing too, with Tyrese Halliburton, players who compete in international play for Team USA, they almost always, it's not universal, Brandon Ingram, for some reason, did not improve playing internationally last year, but typically players get better. And Tyrese Halliburton, I think the experience of him being on Team USA is going to help him tremendously. It is weird that I like TJ McConnell as well. It is weird that the bookies are dinging them. They think they're going to win less. That's I'm going over 45.5, and you said over 2, right?
Yeah,
I'm feeling good about that one, actually. Yeah. So if you're relying on us for any advice, I think we both advise the over. At least I do. The LA Clippers are going to be an interesting one. They're you could say they're underrated. Maybe you could say they're being accurately assessed. The over under for them is 40.5. They lost Paul George. They lost Russell Westbrook. They did get Nicholas Batum back. They added a few other players as well. Last year they were 51-31, but again, that's a team that had Paul George. They got Kawhi. So
it's Kawhi, dude. You always call him Kawhi. It's Kawhi.
Kawhi?
There's no E at the end. There's just Kawhi.
That's what I said, though. I'm not hearing myself mispronounce it. I apologize. Hawaii. Okay.
No, not Kauai. There's Hawaii, and it would be like Hawaii, except there's no E.
Kawhi.
Like Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard. Not Kauai. Hawaii. Kawhi.
What do you think? At 40.5 is the over under. What are your thoughts? That's a drop, man. That is a dip. This is a team they brought Terrence.
I like them under. So
you think
they have very little. There's all kinds of problems surfacing here. Kawhi doesn't play a full schedule. Harden's old. Kevin Porter's on this roster. He's not.
That was a bad move. I didn't like that move. But they did
PJ Tucker is old. He's gotten really old.
Derrick Jones is a good player, though. Amir Coffey's a good player.
He's athletic.
Norman Powell.
Bamba. I don't like them.
Yeah, 40.5 is low, though, dude.
Think about it this way. If Harden had any kind of injury, who's the facilitator on this team?
They're cooked. Yeah, they're cooked if he gets hurt.
Their backup point guards are Chris Dunn, who's a defender, Kevin Porter, who's got issues, Bones Highland, who's a scorer, Terrence Mann, who just wants to camp out in the corner and shoot 3 balls. So I mean, what the heck? They don't have they have no ball handler at all to speak of. If Harden loves to handle. But if Harden goes down for even 10 days, will they win any games at all?
I mean, I imagine
they don't have a secondary ball handler on this entire team.
Well, they do. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. and Bones Highland are both point guards, but they're also score.
Bones Highland, I think, is kind of a combo, isn't he?
He's a point guard. I mean, but he's a score first point guard. Like that's his flaw. You at least to me, like a good point guard is a pass first type player.
I mean, he averaged 2.5 assists a game.
Yeah, he's not thinking like that. Like Bones Highland is a point guard who's score first, and which is not a good thing. I think that's why the Nuggets dealt him in the first place. 40, and they got. I can't believe they're spending $11 million on PJ Tucker, who doesn't even want to be there, which is incredible. 40.5 is low though. So you're saying under
for Clips?
Yeah.
Gosh, that is low.
It's very low, and especially when you hear what the Lakers.
I'll say over. I think
I'm going to go over 2. I think
they're like one of those teams where it's going to be, you're going to think they're going under, but then they're going to make it.
100% agree with you. I anyone who bets the under, you might be feeling good about it 2/3 of the way through the season, and then they're just going to make some sort of push. Ty Lue's a great coach. That's a low number. 40
low number.
Anyone in the chat have any? Mike Weisberg in the chat is saying 40.5 is an aggressive number, but if they have a solid first half, they could hit it. And then he's also saying that's a sub 500 team. All right. The Lakers are 44.5. Last year,
I like them over.
I do too. They were 47-35 last year. They haven't done much of anything this offseason, but from what I've read, a huge reason for that is because They're counting on Jared Vanderbilt to actually play this year. He missed a chunk of games last year. They're also counting on Gabe Vincent to play this year. He was injured almost all of last year. That rookie Dalton Connect you and I talked about is a fantastic
He's a
shooter.
good player.
And another player we didn't see at all last year, and he's listed way down on the depth chart, but I think this kid can play, and that's Jalen Hood-Schifino, who was drafted in one spot after Brandon Podziemski last year, I think.
Yeah, he's good.
And he's good. So I'm with you. I think the over is going to hit 44.5. It's going to depend a lot on health, obviously. Memphis Grizzlies. This is one that I will not feel good about this no matter what, because we have no idea what we're going to get from Ja Morant. We don't know if Brandon Clark's going to come back. He tore the Achilles 2 seasons ago. Their over under is 47.5, which tells me and everyone else that the bookies think Memphis is going to come back. Last year, they were 27-55. Again, Ja Morant is coming back this year. They got Marcus Smart, who I know you love. They got Desmond Bane. They got that kid, Zach Edey, as a draft pick, who's like 7'4". Jaren Jackson Jr.
What's the number?
47.5.
And I don't like projecting 20 win,
It's because of Ja. It's because of Ja Morant, because he didn't play at all last year. They also got Luke.
And I think it's a lot because of Edey. I think a lot of people think Edey's going to do well. I'm going to say under, but I think they're going to be a lot better, but 20 games better. I don't know. That's a lot. That'd be too many.
And they also got John Conchar. They got Santi Aldama, who we both like.
Yeah.
They got a team, man.
They're good.
Right, 47.5 is a lot. You said under?
Yeah, I like under. I mean, they're going to win 20 more games. I don't know.
Well, here's why I think the bookies are saying this, because 2 seasons ago they were over 50 wins. Right? I mean, their record 2 years ago. Hold on, let me see.
They've made bad decisions. I mean, Morant is a wild card. You don't know what you're getting. Desmond Bane they paid the wrong guy. They gave him way, way, way too much money. Edey is going to play well at times. There's going to be other nights he looks really bad. Marcus Smart, can he stay healthy? Their bench is a little thinner. I don't know. I don't.
They won 51 2 years ago.
I'll say they're a 48-win team.
Okay, so you're gonna bet. You're betting under though.
Definitely.
Okay, so under on the 47.5. I'll roll with you on the under because I have no clue. I don't think either of us feel great about that. The Miami Heat is an interesting one. I thought they would be more active this offseason, but they weren't, which tells me that maybe they're banking on Jaime Jaquez for taking a leap this year. Their over-under is 44.5. They won 46 last year. That's a tough one. What do you think? Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler.
I like them under. Who's the point guard on that team?
Jaime Jaquez.
He's not a point guard.
I think they're counting on him. And then they got Terry Rozier.
Jaime Jaquez is a small forward, power forward.
But he plays the point. He's that good as a ball handler. Like they give him the ball.
He runs the 2.6 assists per game.
Yeah, but how many minutes was he playing? Heavy minutes?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, he's listed as a small forward who can play power forward. You have him as a point guard. I don't know, man. I think this team is a point guardless team. They have Terry Rozier, they have Alec Burks, they have Tyler Hero, but I mean, I think this team lacks a true point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have any point guard. There's no point guard there. Terry Rozier's a shooter. Burks is a 2 guard. Hero's a shooter. They don't have a point guard.
You're right.
So they do have some great shooters. I mean, Burke's a good shooter. Hero's a great shooter. Duncan Robinson's a hell of a shooter. And I love the big man they got from Indiana, Khalil Ware. And Hawk is a good player, but I don't know. I no point guard at all. I don't know. I would say under.
Okay. And again, the OU for that is 44.5. Wait, are you so you're saying if you bet the under, that means you're saying they're a 500 team. Is that what you think of them? Like that's
No, under is 44.
44, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going with that. Okay. I'm gonna go the over. I don't feel good about it, but I just they won 46 last year.
44 and 38 would be the record, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be the record?
Correct. Yeah, if they got the under, yeah. So that could happen too. That could happen too. I'm gonna bet the under on this next one, and I feel great about that one. And that's the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that they added Gary Trent this offseason. I think that's the only really big move they made. Before we talk about them any further, Larry, what are your thoughts? What if the Warriors made a move for Brook Lopez? Would you like that?
No, I'm not a Brook Lopez fan.
Is it because he's old, or what's the knock?
I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, are we trying to have the most unathletic, awkward looking basketball team in the history of basketball? Like a bunch of guys that that look like guys from the YMCA. I don't want to see Brook Lopez. He's ugly. I don't want to see slow-mo. He's ugly. The basketball is supposed to be beautiful. We're cornering the market on guys who you have to wear a mask to watch them. I mean, slow-mo shoots at like a fourth grader from like Mission Dolores. It's like, what the fuck? Jesus. I mean, this is supposed to be a good show, entertainment, right? We're getting every bad player there is, every herky jerky awkward. What's next? We're gonna try to resuscitate Lonzo.
Walker Kessler from Utah is another one. Would that excite you, Larry?
I mean, God. Just can't stand. There are some guys that are just bad to watch. Brook Lopez is one of those guys.
Oh my God, 135 mark for a promo. Larry going off. I love it.
He's just a stiff. The most unathletic moving player of all time. I mean, the best thing you can say about Brook Lopez is he's like effective. I mean, do you want to? And nothing worse than a 7'1", 280-pound. Effective center. It's like ground bound. I mean, it's just ugly, just flat out ugly.
So what do we? Who do we sign next? Why don't we get the custodian to come back? Brian Cardinal. His game was ugly too. Homer Simpson in the house. He was a player for years once, folks. Kids,
look
him up.
Where the fuck is Smiley Geach when you need him?
We're still waiting on Nico Mannion, folks, to make
Nico Mannion,
Justinian
the ginger.
So
what if we had a team that was all gingers?
Oh, no. That's
just an all redheaded team.
See, Larry, you're being very crass. You're making folks uncomfortable. We can't talk about all ginger.
McDonald over to McDermott. McDermott down to McJohnson. McJohnson over to McFly.
No, the ginger talk. I can't even. I started gagging. Too much ginger. We can't talk about soulless.
Could you, if you had to, could you make up a team of all ginger players?
No, absolutely not. I think just the fact that we're talking about this is blasphemy. If a God exists, he's on the verge of striking us down right now talking about this. Yeah, the gingers. That's a sketchy topic. And no, I can't think of one good ginger player. Okay, can you? Kidding aside.
Bill Walton.
Bill Walton?
Yeah, Bill Walton
from the 70s. Who's not even alive anymore.
Well, I mean, he's no. I'm not saying he can play. I'm not saying he can play good minutes for you today, but I'm saying Bill Walton. How about Kevin Herter?
Kevin, there we go. Okay, so we got one ginger. Well, the Bucks are 51.5. I think that's an easy under, man. I might actually put a lot of my own money on that. What do you think? And just to add to that,
what did they win last year?
They were 49-33 last year, and they've added virtually no one. I mean, the only real big move this offseason was Gary Trent Jr., good player, but it's not like he's going to magically just improve.
Did they dump the coach?
Doc Rivers.
Doc. Okay.
Yeah, they got
I
him.
like them under. I like them under.
Yeah, some idiot out there last week was saying like the Bucks can get, or the Warriors can trade for Bobby Portis. It's like, really? They can? Like, why would Milwaukee ever give him up? Like that? It's what planet do you live on? Yeah. So they added Taurean Prince and they added Gary Trent Jr. Otherwise, it's the exact same team. That won 49 games last year. Chris Middleton is a year older. Brooke Lopez is a year older. I think that's an easy under, man. I really do. 51.
Probably an under.
Minnesota their OU is 52 and a half. Last year they were 56 and 26. I'm betting over. I think they're going to be better this year. What do you think? I think that's another one I feel great about. I think they're going to easily hit that over. This is a team that's going to be an absolute title contender next year. I don't think they lost anyone of significance.
What do they add?
Well, nothing big. Joe Ingles. They also I think they drafted Rob Dillingham.
He's actually pretty good, actually.
With San Antonio I believe.
The Kentucky kid Dillingham's actually pretty good.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah. I like them over, actually. Slightly over.
Me too. And they still have Luke Garza. Yeah, they're a good team, man. I mean, the fact that they have Naz Reid as their sixth man, I envy them. All right. So you and I both say over on Minnesota at 52 and a half. The New Orleans Pelicans, third one in a row, I feel really good about. I'm going to bet the over on the Pelicans. It's 45 and a half. Last year,
them over.
Same. Last year, they were 49 and 33. They traded for DeJounte Murray. I thought that was a great pickup for him. You still have CJ McCollum. I don't know what maybe the reason why the number is low, Larry, is because the Brandon Ingram situation is still unsettled.
They got Yves Missi, the big man from Baylor.
I don't know anything about him. Is he good?
Yeah, he's a 7-footer who can block shots and run the floor. They still have some really good players. I mean, you're talking about Zion Williamson. They got Antonio Reeves, who's a scorer from Kentucky. You've got DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy the third is flat out shoot the basketball. McCollum, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Jordan Hawkins. I mean, this is a good team. I like them.
Jose Alvarado for defense.
Yeah, he's good too.
This is a fantastic team. I would feel great about betting the over on that one. They got a great coach as well. That's 3 in a row. I'm feeling really good about. And let's add a fourth one to feel good about. I also feel good about this one betting the over. The New York Knicks, aka the Knickerbockers, who last year were 50 and 32. They added Mikal Bridges. They did lose Isaiah Hartenstein, but we also didn't see Julius Randle play a lot last year because of injury. 52 and a half is their over-under. I love the over. What do you think?
They're going to be right there. I mean, it's going to be right there. But this is another team that plays exceptionally hard. They always do. I mean, the fans at the Garden demand it. I think there's momentum here. Yeah, I like them over.
Yeah. And Mike, someone in the chat, Mike Weisberg, who's been offering a lot of great comments when it comes to gambling, said the Pelicans can't rebound at all. We forgot to mention that they also added Daniel Tice, who's a solid center. No, they're going to be fine there. They're going to be fine as rebounders. All right, we're almost there. We're getting there. The OKC. So you bet the over. I'm sorry, on the Knicks.
Yep.
Okay, but you said it's going to be really close. Their OU is 52 and a half. OKC. This one I don't feel good about. Their over under is 56 and a half. Last year they won 57. So logic says bet the over, right? I mean, they got better. They added Alex Caruso. They added Isaiah Hartenstein. They're a young team that's, they're going to be more experienced. But 56 and a half is a lot. I'm going to bet
that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm going to say under just because of situational. I mean, That's a lot. That's a lot of wins, man. You're talking about a very young basketball team that's got to win close to 60 to go over. No, I'm going to say under.
But let me say this, Larry, just in case you didn't hear me, and I'm sorry if you did. They won 57 last year. So you're saying they're going to take a step back?
I know. And I like Caruso, but I mean, it's still a very young basketball team. And, you know, they played really hard last year. Now I would expect this year they'll have, you know, a different kind of a year where they're fresher later, but don't win as many games. So I'm going to like them under.
By the way, mentality saying Krug and Cy, epic combo. Yeah, we're all right. We're all right. Thank you, though. Thank you all. Kidding aside.
Nathan Woo's in the chat, by the way. That's one of Kev's buddies. Nathan Woo. What's going on, Nath? Good to see you. Hope you're having a good summer.
Let me see if you can find that chat. Well, yeah. Okay. I can't find it. I'm sorry.
It's there. Yeah. It's where is it? Do
you have a time check? Best way to find these things. Oh yeah, there he is. I found him.
There it is.
Look at him being all
hey, Mr. Krueger. Oh, look at that.
That's Kevin's friend. Look at him be looking at you as like the dad, being all courteous and professional.
There you go,
Mr. Krueger. Where are we here? Orlando Magic. Oh, this is I like the over on this one. I'm curious to know what you think, Larry. Their over under is 47.5. Last year they won 47. So the over would be them just improving on their mark from a year ago. To me, Larry, Paolo Banchero is going to be an awesome NBA player. He's going to be one of those he's going to be a perennial all-star, possible MVP a candidate someday soon. I like the over on that one, man. I think they could be a 50-win team this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a 50-win type team. I love Franz Wagner. I like Mo Wagner. I think Mo Wagner plays really, really hard. I like Jonathan Isaac. I think he's really good. Wendell Carter is an underrated player. Banchero's a star. I think they could make a trade if they middle the. I could see them trading. So they've got some tradable pieces. They could probably, put together a 3-for-1, 4-for-1 kind of a trade. I like them over.
And they added Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which is a
very underrated 31-year-old two guard.
Agreed. And he gives them even more. He gives them perimeter defense. The guy can shoot the three. Look at this. They also signed Corey Joseph. Look at that. I was wondering, so he's still in the NBA. Steve Kerr's favorite.
To be one of the most underrated players of all time.
Corey Joseph still in the NBA. All right. Here's an interesting one, Larry. The Philadelphia 76ers, I don't think their roster is even set yet. Last time I checked on them, they had 6 players signed. I'm guessing that number has gone up since the last time I looked. Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre Jr., Paul George, Caleb Martin, Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry's coming back. They added Eric Gordon. They got KJ Martin. Andre Drummond is their backup center. They also added Reggie Jackson. And I think, and again, they still have a lot of holes in their roster. I don't think they're done. Their over under is 52.5. That's a high number, man. I'm going under on that. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely under. Definitely under.
Yeah, that's high. I feel good about that. I feel good about the under there. So 52.5 under for Philly. The Phoenix Suns. This is a tough one, dude. I don't know what to bet on this. Their over under is 46.5. Pretty much the same team as last year. What do you think?
I like them under too. I just think that there's bad vibes there, and they could move KD at some point. I think they go under.
So you don't think Coach Buds is the magic solution for?
No, I don't. I don't. I think that whole outfit there in Phoenix is going to need some freshening by the end of the year.
I'm with you on that. They did get the one really good pickup they made this offseason was Tyus Jones. I actually like that a lot, and they got him for cheap. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Under on that. I agree. And that was at 46.5. The Portland Trailblazers are at 22.5. That's a low number, dude. Last year they won 21.
I like them over. I somehow I think the Blazers are going to get it together. They got a little bit more talent this year. They got some young players. It was emotional losing, Lillard, but I think they'll regroup and start to play better ball.
they've got some interesting players on their roster.
They do. They have some young talent there.
They do. Like Shaden Sharp is really good. Anthony Simons is really good. They acquired Denny Avdia from Washington, who has some talent. Jeremy Grant. We've talked about DeAndre Ayton and also Robert Williams III. Larry, what are your thoughts? Again, because you spent a lot of time scouting players, and I respect that tremendously. What are your thoughts on Scoot Henderson? He was the number 2 pick in the draft last year. Was a little disappointing. Didn't make. I don't think he made either of the all rookie teams. Don't quote me on that. I'm positive he didn't make the first one. So I don't think he made the second team either. But was that a waste of a number 2 pick? Do you think he's going to develop eventually? Like, what are your thoughts on Scoot?
I just think he's hugely overrated. I mean, he's got great strength, but his skill development still needs more there. And I just think that he's one of these guys that's got a full developed, fan base and he's, there's all kinds of people that he's like a borderline, or legend, and yet he still has a very undeveloped game. So I'm a little skeptical. I got to see it. I think there's a lot more development needed there, and I'm wondering whether or not he'll do the work necessary to develop.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Scoot last year averaged 14 points a game, 5.4 assists. And Larry, if what you say is true, that's good news for the Warriors because the West is already deep enough. So you said over on 22.5. I will agree with you. There is a talent on that team, and 22.5 is very low. This one is a tricky one. I have no idea what to go with here. I'll lean over Sacramento Kings, 46.5. I love the move to get DeMar DeRozan. I thought that was an excellent pickup. Last year, there were 46 and 36. So are they going to win one more game than that this year?
I think so. DeRozan's going to give them a major shot in the arm. He's a total pro. He's one of the greatest intermediate, mid-range players in the league. I think his addition is enough to give them an extra win or two.
I agree. San Antonio's OU is 35.5. Is Wemby's time now, or is it going to be another year? Last year they won 22, but they did add Harrison Barnes. They added Chris Paul. All the young players. It's another year of growth for them. What are your thoughts on the Spurs?
I like them going over. I think they continue to get better. I think Paul was a great addition.
It was. I agree. To me, with the Chris Paul, what he brought to the Warriors last year in terms of tutelage, mentoring, like you saw these young players like looking up to him, absorbing all of his words, and he seemed open to teaching them, which was, I think, even more impressive. So I'm with you as well. And that's another team that the Warriors are going to have to contend with this year, the San Antonio Spurs. So we both say over on 35.5. The Raptors, I wish they had assets because I feel like they're a team you can make trades with right now, but I don't see anyone on that team outside of Scotty Barnes that I personally would be interested in for the Warriors. Their over-under is 30.5. That's just a funky number, man. I don't know what to go with there. What do you think?
What's the number again?
35.
For who are we talking about now?
The Toronto Raptors, who last year won 25 games.
That seems way high. I'll go under that.
I agree. I like that too. Yeah. I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They got Emmanuel Quickly. Look, we know Larry Krueger loves Dick, and so they got Grady Dick at the shooting guard position.
They also picked up the 7-footer from Utah as an undrafted guy, Brendan Carlson. He's a pretty good player.
Correct.
Davion Mitchell's there from Sacramento.
That was a good
give him another
too,
defender.
Man.
They got Jamal Shed from Houston, who's a tremendous on-the-ball defender.
Okay, I don't know anything about him. RJ
Barrett's
he was
really good at University of Houston.
They still have Bruce Brown, who I imagine is going to get moved at some point. I wish he was a player that the Warriors could use, but he's not.
They're going under.
They're going under. I like that too. Yeah, that's actually
there's not enough skill on that team. There's a lot of
the more we talk about it, I feel great about that actually. What about the Utah Jazz, who ended up re-signing Lauri Markkanen? I thought that if the Utah Jazz, if their goal was to get Cooper Flagg, super dumb to re-sign Lauri Markkanen. I don't understand why Danny Ainge was so fixated on either getting a haul back for him or giving him the bag. I don't know what good that does for them, but regardless, 27.5. Last year, the Utah Jazz won 31 So the bookies are saying they're going to be worse this year. What are your thoughts?
I like them over. I think they made some good decisions in the offseason. They also have some good young players here. I mean, Kyle Filipowski had like 26 and 13 in one of those games in the summer league. I think he steps in and helps them. They got some decent players. They still have Markkanen. Who was the young guard on this team? That was
George.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Keontae George is really a good young player. I really like him a lot. So I like them over.
What are your thoughts on John Collins? Like, let's say Danny Ainge calls up Mike Dunleavy Jr. and he's like, look, I know that things didn't work out with Lowry and I'm a greedy prick. I'm sorry. But what if I present to you John Collins and I'll take back Andrew Wiggins for him?
I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Not even thinking twice. First of all, John Collins is a good player.
He is.
He can play the 5. He can jump. He's 6'9", 245. He's smart. He played at Wake Forest. He had 15 and 8 last year. He's going to give you more inside. This team needs more inside. Yeah, Wiggins for John Collins, I could see that happening. Why? Because nobody wants to either one of those guys, and they could just they both have been out there and available for so damn long that anybody who really wanted to trade for him at this point would have traded for them. I think they'd be a perfect, my problem for your problem. And I think it would be a good fit. I think that's a win-win. I think then the Warriors would win because they would get an interior player. And I think Utah would win because they would probably get the best player in the trade.
What do you think about Han Solo? And I agree with everything you said there. What do you think about Han Solo Dolo's chat where he wrote Brandon Carlson is better than Quinton Post? I'm still pissed about that. I'm not informed enough to answer this. Are you?
They're totally different. I mean, Brandon Carlson is a really long, super skinny, run the floor 5 who's got some upside potential as a finisher. Post is a shooter. Post is a perimeter 5. He's a stretch 5. He's a stretch 4. I personally think that Carlson is better than Post, but they're not the same. They're very different.
Interesting. Okay. So what you're saying then is that Han Solo Dolo has some credence to what he said, that in terms of having a gripe. We'll see. I mean, it is interesting to me that right now the Warriors cannot literally put Quinton Post on the floor unless they get rid of one of their 3-way players, and even then you only have them for half the season, no postseason. It's interesting. That alone is why I think there's another move coming, but we shall see. 3 more teams here and then we're done. Washington Wizards, the high class, a team known for its culture of winning and success, the best nickname in the NBA, Wizards. I mean, you can't beat that. Their over under is 21.5. Last year they won 15. So they're expecting growth with this Wizards team. Who the hell do they even have?
No way. They're going under.
Hold on a
They're
second.
going way under. Not only that, the guy they drafted, Alex Sarr, is a 7-foot, 225-pound project.
Oh,
and yeah, they added Jonas Valanciunas. They've got some talent here. They've got some guys, but I think they'll trade Kuzma mid-year. I like them under.
The pool party is still in effect in Washington. Not just the pool party, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is still on this team. Incredible.
There's some good individual players on this team. I mean, this is not the least talented team in the league. I mean, look at this team. They got Marvin Bagley. They've got Patrick Baldwin, Sadiq Bey, Jared Butler from Baylor. I liked him back in the day. Bilal Coulibaly is an interesting player. Rashawn Holmes is a suitable NBA big. You got Corey Kispert's a shooter. Kyle Kuzma is a good player.
I like Corey Kispert. That's
Jordan Poole, Alex Sarr, Valanciunas. I even like Tristan Vukovic. This team, they're going to lose their ass, but there's some talent there.
There's something to look forward to, Wizards fans. The Boston Celtics. So you said the over, right? Or you said under?
Under.
On 21 and wow. So that's a really bad team then. All right.
It's a bad team. It's a bad team and it's a bad culture, and they're going to trade Kuzma in the middle of the year.
So the under on 21.5. I would stay away from that altogether, but if we have to bet under, two more. This one I feel great about. And that is the Boston Celtics.
Hold on a second.
Don't know
Something
why
happened
they're at
with
the
my mic.
bottom of this
Give
sheet.
me 1 second. What? 1 second. Gotta
You
check
right?
my
What's going
settings.
on? Did I lose you?
Something happened to my mic. Give me 1 minute. I
Okay,
need
well,
1 minute.
okay, you fix that. I'll talk about the Celtics real fast here. We lost Larry altogether. All right, so Larry will be joining us in 1 second, and while we wait for him, I'll talk about the Boston Celtics. So I don't know why Bet Online listed as the last team, even though we're going alphabetical, but the Celtics over under. And again, I feel great about this one, folks. So if you want to win some money, I would put it down on this. 57.5. Now, the Celtics did win 64 games last year, but they're also going to be defending champions. And reigning champions rarely, if ever. I mean, I know the Warriors are an exception, but usually you see a dip with teams when they come back from a championship. And a huge reason why I personally think you should bet the under on this, and I'm feeling great about it, besides the fact that they're going to have a target on their back, every single arena they go into, you're going to have fan bases. The energy is going to be geared towards the Celtics losing. But Kristaps Porzingis may not play until February, maybe even March. He might miss the entire season. So you don't have Porzingis, who was a valuable contributor for that team last year. You have a potentially disgruntled Jaylen Brown based off the Olympics and the fact that in his mind, he feels like people value his teammates more than him. You have Jason Tatum, who's lost his shot. I am not sitting here saying that the Celtics are going to struggle in general next season. They could very easily return to the NBA Finals, although my personal favorite is the Knicks. But 57.5, I'm going to go under. I think that's an easy under. And then last but not least, the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors over under. We briefly talked about this before, Larry and I. And this is indicative of how the bookies feel. We got Larry back. Is your mic fixed?
It's back. I'm back.
Awesome. Real quick, real fast. I said the Celtics. I feel good about this. I said to bet the under, and the over under for that, the line is 57.5. And I said that largely because Kristaps Porzingis could miss 6 months to a year. So we're not going to see him until, I believe, January, February is the earliest. And it could even be later than that. You have the fact they're a defending champion, thus a target is on their back. We've seen how that goes, where other teams are waking up and revved up and motivated to beat them. So I'm going to go under on the Celtics 57.5. Your thoughts, Larry?
Yeah, no, under, just because of the partying and that kind of a town. They won't get serious until February.
Yeah, good call. Good call. And then and Vincent in the chat, Salamatino is saying that I want to see how Al Horford plays. Yeah, that's a good point too, man. He's not getting any younger. He's what, 38, 39?
I think he might retire.
Yeah, you're right. That's a possibility. And then the Warriors, last but not least, 43.5. The bookies basically think they're going to be just barely above 500 this season. What do you think?
What did they win last year?
Last year they were 46 on 36. Year before
they're going to win
30.
They're going to win 36.
46, I mean.
36. I think they're going to be a bad team this year.
So bet the under.
Yeah, I like the under for sure. Steph's getting older. We saw down the stretch that he's fallible, and Draymond's getting older, and they haven't made any. The guys that they brought in Melton. Melton's got back problems. They brought in Slow-Mo. He's just a guy. They brought in Buddy Hield. I think he's just a guy. Quentin Post, doesn't excite me. Had no draft choices. Warriors, no way the Warriors are better. The Warriors are easily 5 to 10 games worse.
Yeah, I mean, we're both going to hope that they make another move. And if that happens, we'll revisit this. But I agree with you, man. The West is so deep, And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not enamored with the moves they made this offseason. I'm not saying they're bad moves, but it's not enough. It's not enough to magically make this team better than the 46 win team we had last year. So I both agree, bet on the under. Anything else we should touch on, Larry, as we wrap it up? There's one thing in the chat real fast. Actually, before you answer that, I apologize. From 808 this was almost 2 hours ago. Another phenomenal 2-hour run, Larry. Bravo. Who's a Kuminga hater, saying, what does Jonathan Kuminga excel at? I don't understand the fascination with him. He can't shoot. He can't dribble. He doesn't rebound. And he's just okay at defense. Trade him while you can to get something for him. I strongly disagree with the fact that he can't dribble. I strongly disagree that he doesn't rebound. He averaged nearly 5, or I think he went over 5 this last year. I disagree that he can't shoot. He's just not a great three-point shooter. He's a good three-point shooter. He's a career 34+% three-point shooter, which is good. It's not great, but it's good. And to me, when you look at Jonathan Kuminga, you see, you got to bring up comparisons to like for example, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, you don't see Giannis Antetokounmpo as being a shooter, but what you do see is a player who makes an impact out there because he can get to the rim almost anytime he wants. And he's so athletic and so freakish and so fast that other teams are afraid, man. Like, he brings gravity in a different way than what Stephen Curry does, where even though he's not necessarily a scary three-point shooter, defenses are focused on him because they know that if they take their eyes off him, he can get to the rim and attack without impediment. So I strongly disagree with that sentiment, Larry. What do you think about the Kuminga hate from 808
Well, he's only played 3 seasons in the NBA. He's 21 years old. He's probably, if not the greatest, he's one of 5 or 6 of the greatest athletes in the league today. So you're talking about the best runner jumper in the entire league. He's 6'7", 225, but he probably is getting bigger. I mean, to me, he looks more like 6'9", and I've heard people say he's even bigger. And then you look at his stats. I mean, his minutes have gone from 16 to 20 to 26. His field goal percentage has gone up 3 years in a row. His 3-point percentage went down this last year, but it's been as high as 37%. His free throw percentage has gone up 3 years in a row. Now he's 74, almost 75% from the foul line,
which is good. That's not a bad thing. Yeah.
His offensive rebounding has gone up 3 years in a row. His defensive rebounding has gone up 3 years in a row. His overall rebounding has gone up 3 years in a row. His assists per game have gone up 3 years in a row. His blocks have gone up 3 years in a row. His steals have gone up 3 years in a row. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? 100. I mean, we're talking, his points have gone from 9-3 to 9-9 to 16-1, and they're probably going to be closer to 20 a game next year. Give this guy, this guy lived away from his parents for like
since he was 14,
multiple years, and as a teenager. I mean, our expectations, need to be a little bit lower. This guy was a 19-year-old kid from the Congo who's had to come over here and learn everything. And I mean, come on. I mean, you trade this guy right now and you're just a freaking moron. This guy's way, way athletic, way, way talented. There's a reason that there's 5, 6, 7 teams that want him at all times, because he's going to be better tomorrow than he is today. And there are times, does he dribble great? No. But this guy can pound the dribble and can spin to the hole and like cover almost like half the floor. Mm-hmm. This guy has such explosive forays to the hoop, and now we're seeing him pull up when he gets stopped and find the guy for the dunk or bunny or layup. So he's now starting to make plays for other guys. Do not trade Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, I'd much rather trade Podziemski over Kuminga, because Podziemski's a 6'3", 6'4" guy with some limited physical upside. Jonathan Kuminga's got limitless physical upside. Do not trade Jonathan Kuminga. My God.
Agreed.
My God. At worst, he's Gerald Wallace. At worst. And Gerald Wallace became an all-star. So, I mean, at worst, he's Gerald Wallace, and he's way better than that, in my opinion.
And the one thing I want, Larry, this is where the Klay Thompson trade was beneficial. He was 7th on the team last year in minutes. That's unjustifiable, man. Like why? And the fact that in that playing game against the Kings, Klay Thompson was what, 2nd or 3rd in minutes behind Steph and I think Draymond. And he was 0 for 10 from the field. Meanwhile, Kuminga is what, 7th, 8th. Like, I think that's why you had to move on from Klay.
Yeah.
And you've brought this up before on the show as well, because of Steve Kerr and how he has his crutches, right? He has these players that he just goes to instinctually, whether or not it's the right move. And you took one of those away from him now. And I hope Kuminga's minutes go up because of that. 7th on the team in minutes. That's indefensible. I don't understand that. And Moses Moody's another player who his minutes have to go up, man. Like Moody, Kuminga, they have to be top 5 in minutes, right? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anything else before we go, Larry?
No, that's it. Kev's giving me the rap sign. He wants me to do videos.
All right, go do your thing, brother. I'm looking forward to meeting Kevin someday soon, man. You bring him on your show sometimes, right? Or
yeah. Well, normally he's on Wednesday nights, but he was too busy tonight.
All right. So. Yeah, I look forward to meeting him. Otherwise, thank you, everyone. Larry, you want to mention your sponsors one more time before we go?
Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Emeryville, Corte Madera. They're fantastic. And, of course, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles along the Monterey Peninsula. Give Anthony Catania a call down there.
Beautiful. And before we go, I don't know if you can answer Dank. He asks, I need to know if Mason Pline is him. I don't even know who that is. Do you?
Yes, he's a tight end for the 49ers. He's 6'8". He's got 10-inch hands. He's in a mechanical engineering major. He's a great prospect. He's going to make the team. Yeah, he's real. He looks good.
Is Brandon Ayuk going to be a Niner?
No.
Do you like it? Do you like that he's not going to be a Niner? Or
it's complicated. It's complicated. We'll leave it at that.
That's a whole other show. All right, man. Larry, I love you as always. Thank you. Thank you to everyone else for joining us. 2+ hours, man. That's how we roll. Until next time. Oh, and one more time, you can follow Larry Krueger on all social media platforms at Sports Larry K. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild, over on Twitter at Surf Journalist. I finally updated the close, Larry, so you will be included in this as well. Thank you, everyone. Larry, thank you.
Thanks,